Mr. Dubois, every worker, member of the board. How can I help you today? Ah, yes, I was informed. It seems to be a big undertaking. What are you hoping to achieve with it exactly? Interesting. This is a small fortune waiting to be claimed. Always exciting to see promising businessmen rise up through the chaff. I'm glad to see you making headway with your endeavors, Mr. Dubois. I look forward to seeing the end result. Is there anything else on your mind? Mega-rich light-bending guy? Oh my god. How did that get in there? Damn it to hell, Harry. I specifically told my guys to check all the containers for mega-rich light-bending guys.
There was a guy in the container, but he didn't bend any light. That was in the detective's head.
Honestly, guys, we might be moving a spot of drugs through this harbor, but I won't be caught transporting the light-bending mega-rich. I have a reputation to protect. No, they're not. They're vermin, and one just found a way inside my container. Soon, he'll bring the others. All three of them. Thank you for telling me. I'll see to this immediately. I shudder to think what you're going to tell me next, Harry.
Not for 1 second did he believe there's an actual mega-rich person somewhere in his container town.
Most certainly, Harry. By all means, Harry. What's on... I'm always happy to educate and entertain you, my friend. Very nice.
mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of... No trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. It's like that old saying, Mr. Everett doesn't really want me to talk to people about union guys. But who did you want to talk about? He's a union man through and through. Good guy. He's very calm, laid back, doesn't do much, talks to Everett sometimes. Honestly, I don't know what he does for us, but it must be important because everybody likes him. Yes, they do. I think that's what he does. He makes everyone feel a little better.
Oil for the wheels. Much needed in stressful times like these.
Whoa, he's really something. He doesn't talk much to me usually, but when he does, I don't really understand most of what he's saying. Actually, I don't think he would like me running my mouth about him like that. Once he said he's a dragon to this mob fellow who came picking a fight with some union men. I think he really believes Jean-Luc was a dragon because he ran right off. Another time he almost killed another guy, but I shouldn't talk about that. Who do you mean, mister?
You do realize he might just be a figment of your imagination, right?
I don't know anyone like this, mister. Maybe he's one of Mr. Everett's fancy friends. He knows all kinds of fancy people with suits and purdy carriages.
He really feels very uncomfortable discussing matters related to Everett with you.
Mr. Edgar is Mr. Everett's brother. He looks a bit younger, he does, but a very smart fellow. Very smart fellow indeed. He's away on some union business. Not even in Revershaw, they say. All kinds of places he visits. Him and his brother both do when they're on a vacation. Right now, it's Mr. Everett's turn to look after the union. But last year he spent a whole winter in South Africa. Left with the first autumn rains and didn't come back before the trees were green again.
South Safra. A lot of bulk chemical manufacturing going on there. A lot of cargo shipments being made, too.
Oh, Titus is a longshoreman through and through. He was born on a boat, they say. His veins are probably filled with salt water, I tell you. Nice friendly sort old Titus is. I'd best not. I mean, I could, but I don't think Mr. Everett would like it very much. You better ask him yourself, mister. The night guard. Ooh, he's a peculiar fellow. He's the strong, silent type, you could say. We talk all the time, but I don't really know much about him. He plays petanque with my old human studies teacher, Mr. Martin, down at the plaza. I think he's the only fellow who actually knows old Renee. They lived on the same street their entire lives. Even dated the same girl on and off for as long as I can remember. Strange fellows. Mr. Martin was always real nice to me in school. I remember once. Mr. Martin, yes. Don't really remember much about him. I was just a boy back then. Sure, mister.
Tequila sunset.
No one does it better than me, eh? I was able to get it all together, and so fast, too. No wonder I used to be an industry leader. Listen, I can feel it in my guts. A bright future awaits you. The one and only Tequila Sunset. You're already building great brand equity. No doubt the profits will come rolling in shortly. Of course not. Your trademark will be all over it as soon as the workers can get to it. The strike's holding them up. Not much I can do about that. I guarantee the papers will pick it up once it's all finished. With photos and everything. You'll be the talk of the town. Investing into the community, creating value, giving back.
Hey, your new personal brand strategist still hasn't laid off the drink, even though he promised.
It isn't that easy, but I'm working on it. I really am. I even signed up for this evening group in Jamrock. What would you like them to say?
Here's a man who knows how to play the media by starting with the right question.
Very nice. You could be your own PR agent, Tequila. Don't spend a single brain cell worrying about it. Just leave it all to me. The final outcome will be spectacular. Just takes a little time. Anything else?
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than 5 years old. The other one looks indistinguishable from him. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his mouth. This one doesn't say anything, kicking the concrete with his worn-out sneaker.
Lily's our mum.
The stone kicker laughs suddenly. His head is too large for his shoulders. The other one laughs as well. Maybe there's some kind of reason why they're laughing. An interesting reason, somehow tied to the case. The boy stops laughing and looks at his toes. Oh, okay. So now he's shy. Now he's not talking, just wobbling around like he's afraid of something. You will never get an answer. That's how it is with these little idiots. The stone-kicking one becomes frantic all of a sudden, as if that's something to be scared of. The obvious fact that you just stated.
He looks just like me.
The boy doesn't answer. His brother throws another rock. Both of their hair is covered in some kind of dirt. The rock kicker was just being shy, but now he's enthusiastic again.
You're bad with kids. Don't worry, everyone is. How about we do some police work now? We're not getting anything here.
Is that the phasmid? It looks like the phasmid, leaning against the wall. Wait, what if this is the fishing rod situation all over again? Fine. It's not a phasmid. It's not even organic. Just a fire iron resting by the fireplace. But where's your sense of wonder, man?
Hello, mister.
She clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
Oh, I had gloves. Very big ones. Heavy, too.
Where did you get these gloves?
Found them when Lemmy and I were playing hide and seek. In an empty house. Where no one lives. I think someone hid them there.
She doesn't want you to think she stole them.
I hid them. The twins were going to take them. They're stupid.
We're going to need those gloves. It's for important police business.
Oh. They're in my sandcastle. Behind our house. Under the sand. You can break the castle. It's not very good. Luby. Raluby. My mom tells me I'm a big girl, but she doesn't know that I can't say Earl. Or sometimes I can, but then Uller.
Kids.
Yes, I am. Little Lily. You know my mom? That's nice. My mom is great. She's never angry or anything. Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. They look identical. It's Lammy. He's my friend. Sort of.
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tattered in several parts.
Yes. Very soft. Isn't he soft? Bye!
Weather has not been kind to Lily's little sandcastle. The once mighty towers are quickly eroding away. You can see something shining back to you from what must have been a vast underground catacomb network.
The little castle? The reigning lord must have come upon some really tough times to let it sleep in such decrepitude.
The walls and floors give way to the giant's greed, collapse and present you with a pair of ceramic gauntlets.
Congratulations. That's the gauntlets down then. We're doing good on the armor collection front.
The pearlescent paper adamantly resists being held open. It demands struggle at both ends. The print inside is just as taxing, due to its fine and curlicued font. The most attractive part is the image emblazoned across the top. Inside an oval frame is a grey sketch of a curly-haired girl enthusiastically riding an industrial drill. It's churning up hard chunks of rocky ground and scattering them into the air. In the hole created beneath is a silvery river of liquid metal. Each letter is shaped like a laugh line being pulled in a million different directions. They're all grinning at you, pleased with practically being indecipherable. You can do this. Maybe squinting will help. Your vision blurs into a haze of dark scribbles. It's like looking at a wrought iron fence through a greasy lens. Not a single recognizable symbol appears to you. That really didn't help, did it? How about opening your eyes as wide as possible? The scroll across the paper opens wide, its many grins back at you. A mess of mouths ready to swallow you up. Intertwined and interflowing. Impenetrably, your eyes begin to water. Okay, enough of that. It's starting to sting. Better try another approach. A bold black mesh curves around the oval image at the top of the document. It almost looks as if it were penned with intention. Perhaps it was. You're starting to think it might actually say something. If it does, it remains hidden from you. All you see is a baffling enigma, a coiled nest of viper letters, if they even are letters. There must be some form of logic hidden away in there. The certificate threatens to coil back into itself. As you fold your fingers into a fist, you realize you could knock anyone out with one punch. The white ceramic gloves wrap around your digits comfortably. Your movements cause tiny little clicks, like dice rolling somewhere far away, as the plates reorient to your motions. modern vitreous enamel, at once sleek and voluptuous, adds a glow to your cheeks and a spring to your step. Just imagine what a full suit of this stuff could do for you. You really do feel more confident. Invulnerability does that. Even partial invulnerability. Two, are you sure you're correct there? There was a helmet too. 3 pieces more like. You were ambitious. The trap stands empty near the reeds, powdered with snow. No insect sounds or movement around. Only the reeds' apprehensive hissing. The locusts, dazed from being transported, slowly begin to acclimate to their new surroundings. They're not really going to get the chance to get comfortable here.
Good, now that's done. When do you think we will return to our impending apocalypse of a murder investigation? Don't answer that. It was a rhetorical question.
He doesn't want to, but if there is one more cryptozoological runaround, he must force the investigation back on track. This better be it.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Heilostam. You must be Kim Kituragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks. Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into Worms lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio shows.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
This man is your half-brother. You feel it. But why? Well, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetician from Grad. They run Vox in the Occidental countries.
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
Hold on. What's R&D? It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill.
Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore. You're probably more familiar with RTD, Research and Technological Development.
Mea culpa. You are not familiar with that one either. This man is a bookhead.
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve. I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer. An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution, revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet.
He assumes something like a combat stance, facing the wind.
Indeed. What?
The revolution!
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes, possibly from this very building, or one of the adjacent ruins. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
A pleasure wheel?
Perhaps reminded of a childhood memory. It's clear he would prefer there were a big wheel lighting up the coast.
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinaise was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers...
Wait, is he saying that we should just bypass the excesses of the revolution?
Tape computers. They used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02.
A short-lived legislative foundation for a short-lived utopia.
It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album, Bon Baiser dans ce Lind. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite, alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware.
Buckle up.
10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Wompty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time. This was before the twins Keith and Guy Jews joined the team, trying to...
Wait, did he just say Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? He did it. He said Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center, like it's the most natural thing in the world. What the hell is a Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? And who the hell are Keith and Guy Juiced?
The Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center for Contemporary Art. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Ockerman, chose to... In fact, I'm not. The Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research center. But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting, perform operations, and project output onto a white screen. It was a beautiful, delicate thing.
Made of black film and folding tape structures.
Very, very cool. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. The Felt playback experiment vanished into the fires of '07. Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the Felt Playback Experience, but those are incorrect. Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now. All 3 versions of the prototype. Nothing but debris and ashes remain inside that building. But of course, what else? No, I'm afraid I can't help you with this one, officer. It's just a regular day off for me and Mikhail here.
So you haven't seen anyone around?
No, I'm sorry. As I said, this is just a day off. We just arrived anyway.
There's something friendly and familiar in how he says that. A day off. He's telling the truth. He hasn't seen anyone.
I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important here.
He's not gonna give you money. What are you doing? Clearly you were just profiling. No, I mean, come on. You need the money. If it's not a thing, he can give you some.
Of course, Detective. I wouldn't have assumed anything else. Matter of fact, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the Vespertine Department of Justice has published a rather interesting paper on the criminal profiling in former socialist states. Have you read it? If not, then you definitely should. If not for tips and tricks, then just for theoretical curiosity. Anyway, that's just a little something that sprang to mind. You were saying? No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
Pick your brain. If anything, this was rather one-sided. He did the talking. Whatever. You see, a once bright mural towering above you. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away."
Looks like tomorrow never came.
Above the mural, a collapsed roof, broken windows set in walls that are cracking and will soon also fall. And the coastal breed, Feld Electrical. How ironic, all these dark rooms. Feld Electrical, you only know them as a small company that makes ink cartridges. Looks like they used to be big. There's something in the wind. Sometimes the only way to go forward is to fail first.
In there? She could. Or she could be in the identical room over there, or in that boat shack. In that church tower, maybe.
Why single out this one building? The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Tomorrow is just a whisper away. Suddenly, all is quiet. There is no cold hand brushing against your forehead, no rustle in the reeds. The wind has died down or gone behind a corner. You only hear distant waves washing the coast. The ruin in front of you is silent as a tomb.
How do we? I was really hoping she'd be in the village. Okay. She's probably north of the village, and this place is a peninsula. We already scanned most of the outdoor areas on our wild cryptid hunt, so we have an understanding of the geography, at least. And then there's the church. If I were a murder suspect, I would not hide in the most prominent building here, but who knows? Maybe she's reckless.
Or spiritual. She could be looking for refuge.
Anyway, we do it the old-fashioned way, sector by sector. Go over the whole peninsula, ask the locals, enter the places where we can enter first, like we did in the village. Then, if we're desperate, we can look where we can't enter. Bunkers, storm drainage, this place. I'm sure it won't come to that.
Walk the coast, the old boardwalk, the reeds. You can always come back here and talk to the wind again. Look where it already got you. Buckle up and raise your collar. This search is going to be wet and cold. The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years. Dripping water falls from a high place. All you can see is the shadow of a collapsing staircase. There's rust and corrosion on the bars. They're foaming with it. And a small layer of white salt from the sea.
No, I won't even try. You know, I had a partner once. They called him Eyes, because he had to show me things. It's that bad. Well enough, actually. It's odd how that works. I'm no sharpshooter, but I passed my shooting courses 7 out of 10.
Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. Someone has left an unidentified... It's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth. It seems likely that it was left in the surf until someone laid it out on this fence to dry out. Unfortunately, that just seems to have stiffened it into a shapeless mass.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to have it returned.
As you hold it in your hands, it makes an uncomfortable crunching sound. It's a sordid, filthy tale, not for the weak. Are you sure you can stomach it? Some secrets are better left uncovered. Don't even try. Seriously. It occurs to you that you're not even holding the jacket itself, but rather the thick crust of jetsam and seagull shit that ensconces it. It smells like a dead sea creature, tangled in grey strands of seaweed. It must have spent quite some time in the water before the tide deposited it ashore. Somehow, it was carried or dragged to the boardwalk, if not by human hands, than perhaps the feral dogs that prowl the beaches at night. The faint impressions of many footprints are also present, though it's impossible to tell what kind or how many. Suffice to say, the jacket spent some time on the ground before someone draped it over the railing. The crust is hard. This jacket spent at least a day baking in the sun. Who knows what happened to it then? It's too late. You've already thought about it, and now your hands are covered in muck. Now you're just flicking that shit everywhere. This is a disaster. You'll never get the smell out. The smell. It's awful and familiar. It doesn't help. You can still smell it. Keep it in now. Don't overreact. Breathe. Don't you recognize it? That hideous pungency, that faintly cloying sweetness. Only death smells like that. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear. It is death. It must be. The lieutenant has already brought a handkerchief to his nose.
Eyes up, detective. Something's not right here.
A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is, he's been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. The leather jacket suits him well. It must be custom made. A cool leather jacket with a bolt of blue? Oh no, this sounds terribly familiar. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. A bad fall. It might have been dark outside. This place is a minefield in the dark. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his mustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. Height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair, stout build. Age, approximately 50 to 60 years. He was just about to head home. The first step back home proved to be his last. That's what the chewing gum seems to point to as well. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch. This is what killed him. This is where he came out of himself, drop by drop, when he was unconscious. It took 3, maybe 4 minutes.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
A .75 liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside.
Tear all around us. I'd prefer if you didn't collect them this time. It's not proper.
True. It feels disrespectful. Grabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too. Confirmed. Nearly the whole pack is there. Solidified on his lower rear teeth.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
In a ditch off a road below the 881, he thinks. A young father. Then he shakes his head to make the memory stop. The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think?
A dead working-class man with a bottle in his hand? Don't deceive yourself. You know who this is.
The woman you met at the book stand? Why do you think it's her husband? The bright blue lining? Well, he's definitely someone's husband. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. Oh yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the box.
Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab.
No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, accident, unrelated to the murder case.
Agreed. If this somehow converges later, why not? But keep it simple for now.
They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see two options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal, and this looks like a simple accident to me. I'd say we should just write down head trauma and leave it at that. Let's keep this detour as short as possible. The sooner we get back to finding Ruby, the better. Good call. The guys at processing can take care of the rest. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from Mike and Emma. Let them know we are taking the case.
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. Billy is a unisex name. Could be the deceased or his family member. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinton Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. Some thrillers too. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 0255.
Good. We should give them a call from Mike and Emma. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find. No, there's more in there. Livis strawberry liquor, plus some Pilsner bottles too. Better not pick them up. They seem unhygienic.
A tragedy.
He shakes his head with genuine sadness. Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. Red Astra is the black market version of Astra cigarettes, known for their high tar content. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. It's no older than a day or two. No mold yet. It's hard to concentrate in the smell. The sea air brings some relief.
Hello, dear. It's good to see a familiar face. Thank you for doing that, dear.
Her smile is weary. Her earlier ebullience has left her.
Morel still isn't feeling well. I convinced him to stay at Gary's to get some rest. I'm afraid the cold has really gotten to him. I'm sorry, dear. You've had to drudge through them so many times. Such is field work. A young person's game, as they say.
Her voice is shaky. What is going on here?
Morel will eventually, or we'll talk Gary into going back out, perhaps.
The lieutenant stares at his shoe, caked in mud. He doesn't say anything.
That really is too much, sweetie. Thank you for your dedication, but I can see you're coming down with a cough yourself.
Very strange. Why is she not letting you do this? It's like she's given up.
Different? How? I'm not. It's not bad. It's a strange feeling. I haven't really told this to anyone, but you are a police officer.
And when a police officer asks, you must answer.
Do you ever wonder if some lovely story from your childhood is just that? A story? Or a dream? Seeing the Insulindian phasmid was just a story I used to tell people. I didn't really think about whether it was real or not. Morel's so proud of it. He always tells everyone.
A terrible sting in the heart. Regret.
No, at least I don't think I did, but Morel was so eager to believe my story was evidence of the phasmid's existence that I'm some queen of the cryptozoologists. That, and for years his belief made me believe too.
That I am a queen? An extraordinary witness to grace.
But now, we're both getting old and he's still working himself sick out in those reeds looking for it. But what if I was just wrong? I think I was.
The lieutenant opens his notebook, but doesn't write anything. An acorn is not the same as the tree. That requires time, diligence, and care. All qualities these two seem to share in abundance.
But it is. We've spent years searching for the phasmid, hunting it together. Without it, what are we? Just another pathetic old couple. If I hadn't led him down this path, he could have a steady job lecturing at a university.
You know, this reminds you of the Pericarnassian theory of love. In essence, love is a relay out of death. Generation by generation, our love remains in our progeny. Lay some of that on her.
Oh, sweetie, I don't think the Pericarnassians were thinking of people in my situation. I was a paraplegic before we met. He didn't know before I arrived, on our first date. If I weren't the queen of the cryptozoologists, if I didn't tell him that story...
She has to swallow to relax her throat. It's keeping her from talking.
Maybe. But then why do I not dare tell him? I've wasted enough of your time with this drama. I really must stop talking about it lest I start crying and waste more of your time. What you have to know is the Insulindian phasmid probably does not exist. Let us fools chase our ghosts. There are a million better things to do with your life.
Are there? Some of the other things are pretty bad.
I'm not sure of anything. Sometimes I still see it, you know. The real memory. Not the memory of the memory, but it's so hard to tell the two apart.
Rising, unfolding from the reeds on a hot summer's day, like a benevolent god.
Either way, I should go. Poor Morel is running a fever, and I need to get him home to Jamrock before we overstay our welcome with Gary. Oh no, thank you, but I can get there on my own. This old thing is gas-powered. And then a taxi home. It's not so bad.
Really?
Oh, sweetie. Please don't get stuck on a dream. Take it from me and Morel. You too, sweetie. Thank you for everything, truly. Even though it turned out to be a
waste of time. A dream. A fool's hope. Say her lips moving in silence. Like that, she drives off. The gas engine mutters quietly as she gets to the doors, then pushes them open. Outside, the cold, coastal wind blows.
We should go to...
Somewhere out there, a kilometer to the southeast, a gust of wind shakes the felled building, rattling dusty windows, beckoning with strange coldness, to ask the wind once more.